Hi and welcome to my channel. In today's video, I'm gonna be showing you how you can make your own neon sign in After Effects, just like this one. This includes setting up a composition where you can drop any text, images or shapes to instantly convert them into neon signs for your scene. And then finally, we will add our sign into a scene and blend it with the environment. This is all done without plugins and will be 100% built-in effects. Let's go. So I just opened After Effects in the default layout, and the first thing I'm going to move is the effect control panel over here, since we're going to use a lot of effects and this will make it a little bit easier for you to follow along. So to start this tutorial off, we're going to create a new composition, which is going to be our base layer where we put our assets that we want to turn into a neon sign. Rename it Neon Input. For now, I'm just going to set this at 1920 by 1080 pixels and set the duration to 10 seconds. Select the text tool and type anything you like. I'll just write hello for this example. Now come over here and click on the Align tab and click these two buttons to center align our text. In this workflow, we don't have to commit to a final design since we can always come back here and change it. For now, this will do. Just make sure that none of the assets you want to use are black. Now we can right click this composition and click New Comp from Selection. Rename this one to Neon Outlines. The next step is to find the edges of our silhouetted assets inside our input composition. The first thing we're going to do is to create a clear contrast separation from what we want to keep and what we don't. So go up to the Effects and Presets tab and search for CC Toner. Add it to our comp and change the tones to solid and select white as the color. If you come over here and click this button to toggle on and off the transparency grid, we can see that we actually don't have any background in our composition. So for this to work, we need a background. So we can just come up here to the Effects tab again and add a solid composite. Change the color to black. Now we can add a Find Edges effect, which is going to give us our outline. To refine the edges a bit, we need to add an abstract. So we can add this effect also. Turn the white point all the way down to 0, and then the white softness all the way up to 255. Then I'm just going to duplicate our first CC toner and drag it down here to the bottom of our effects chain so we can see our cutout again. Now that we have a cutout that is pure white, we can go ahead and add a simple choker effect and set it to -1. This will give us a slightly sharper edge. So now we got a pretty good outline, and if you got any already outlined fonts or assets that doesn't need any edge extraction, you can actually just put them inside this composition here anywhere you want. Anything you got that is silhouetted, you can just drop it in here in our first composition. So for instance, if you have a logo, you can just drop it in here. And when I go back to our outline composition here, it will automatically turn into this outlined version. Okay, so let's make this thing glow now. So I'm going to right click our outlines composition and make a new comp from Selection again. Rename this one to Neon Glow. And just to make it a bit easier to see what's going on with the neon sign, I'm going to bring in this background. I'm just quickly gonna add a color balance effect to this background. And turn down the lightness and the saturation a bit, just so we still have a nice contrast between our neon sign and the background. Now inside our Neon Glow composition, I'm just going to rename our outlines comp to Main Glow. And now we can come up here and search for glow and add the effect. We are going to duplicate this effect a few times and make a few tweaks because it's probably the only way to make a somewhat realistic glow without using plugins. Set the threshold to 0, the glow radius to 20, and the intensity to about 0.3. Barely noticeable at this point, but if we duplicate the effect, we can start to see something is happening. I'm just pressing Command D on the keyboard to quickly duplicate the effect. For this one, we can set the glow radius to 60, essentially spreading out the glow a little bit. Duplicate it one more time and set the glow radius to 180. And do it one last time and set the radius to 540. Let's go ahead and add a CC toner to this stack. Change it from tritone to solid, which is going to make it look really bad, but trust me, it's going to look better in a second. And let's just specify color for now, and we can always come back and change it. Now that our layer is colored, we can now come down here and change our blending mode of the Main Glow to Add. If you don't see this box, you can toggle this button here to change between the different views. So now that we've got a nice glow going on, I'm going to drag another instance of our outlines composition underneath our main glow and rename this one to fill glow. I'm going to hide the main glow composition for now, just so we can see the process a bit easier. What this fill glow is going to do is just kind of fill out the composition with a little bit more diffused light. The first effect we're going to apply is a simple choker effect. Set this to -10 and it's just going to fan out all these lines dramatically. And now we're gonna come up here and add a fast box blur. I'm going to set the radius to 200, which is pretty much going to make our composition disappear. But then we can bring it a little bit back with a curves effect. So come up here and let's find the curves. Set the channel to alpha. And let's just bring up a point in the middle, just to brighten up our image a little bit and give a little bit more life to it. Just like this. Then we can add a CC toner effect. And we are going to change the tones to be solid once again. So I'm going to select both composition here, and in this little search box I'm just going to type in midtones. And then we can just pick whip the fill glow CC toner to the main glow's color. And finally let's change the mode from normal to add and bring back the main glow. Now let's bring in another composition of the outlines on top here and rename this one to neon tube. Once again, I'm going to add in a simple choker effect, but this time we're going to set it to a positive number. So let's set this one to about 1. Add a glow effect. And set the threshold to 0. The radius to 15 and the glow intensity to 0.5. And to get rid of this dark halo, we can just finally come down here and change the blending mode from normal to add. And that's basically the final result. If you don't like the outline version, we can basically just come back in here in our input composition. Command C to copy our asset and come into our neon outlines and paste it in here. And just hide the composition underneath here. And now when we go back into our neon glow composition, we can see that it's now a solid color. But for this example, I'm just going to go with the outline version. Now when you want to adjust the intensity of the glow, we can come back into the main glow and adjust the midtones colors in your CC toner. And here what's really powerful about this setup is that if you want to control the intensity of the glow, you can just move this dot towards the black. Left and right controls the color saturation. Alright, after you made your final tweaks, it's now time to add it into our scene. So I'm just going to take our clip and drag it down here to create a new composition with our clip. Now simply drag in our neon glow composition and change the mode to add. Let's quickly come back into our composition here, neon glow, and hide the background. Also make sure to come down here and press the toggle switch and change it into a 3D layer. Press S on the keyboard to resize it a bit. Use the handles here to get the neon size into the right perspective. And already off the bat we can see that the colors are way too intense. So what I'm going to do is I'm going back into our neon glow composition. I'm going into our midtones here and I'm going to drag the levels way down. Maybe something around here I think should work. Now back in our clip composition we can see that it already looks much better. One last thing that we can do is to come up here and create a solid shape on top of our clip. Now come up here and change the shape to something rounder and click on this button to make it into a mask. And now we can select an area on top of our neon sign. Come in here to mask and let's add some feather on it. And let's also lower the opacity a bit. Let's rework the shape a little bit. make a few smaller tweaks. Make sure that the neon glow is on top of this layer. And here at the end you can play a little bit around with the mask to make it look a little better. And there you have the final result. I really hope you find the video helpful. Don't forget to subscribe and hit that like button, and see you in the next video. Bye.